All right, so 2022's Beast is directed by, and I'm definitely going to butcher this name, Baltazar Kormacher. Probably saying that wrong. It's written by Ryan Angle and Jamie Permack Sullivan. And the synopsis for you: a father and his two teenage daughters find themselves hunted by a massive rogue lion intent on proving that the savannah has but one apex predator. So, yeah, this is kind of like one of those survival films. It kind of reminds me, and I haven't seen these films, but like the 47 meters down kind of movies. Um, it's funny, like I just watched one of these kinds of survival movies not that long ago, like a couple weeks ago with Fall. And this movie kind of has a similar feel to it where you get these characters just trying to survive through something traumatic and something that most people probably wouldn't survive. So I like those kinds of stories for the most part. I don't watch a whole lot of those kinds of movies, but yeah, I mean, it's a fun concept, and a lot of those types of movies typically have you on the edge of your seats. And for this one, it definitely had me on the edge of my seat for a good majority of the time. I will say the first few times you see the lion in this film, it's terrifying, and it has great scenes. Like there's scenes where it's coming at them in the car, and just the sound design, like the sound in the theater when that lion impacted with something, it was loud, and it was scary. It was really intense, and I really like that kind of stuff. But as the movie progressed, the loudness of it and just the craziness of it kind of, I don't know, the magic kind of started to go away a little bit throughout the film. The more you saw the lion, the more, I don't know, the less shocked you were to see it. And I feel like it's kind of like that with a lot of like horror movies, and this you can kind of call a horror movie, but it's not really that. I don't know. There's jump scares in this movie for sure, which I guess I should have expected, but I guess I wasn't expecting. So, you know, there are definitely horror elements in here, having basically a slasher because this lion is brutal, but yeah, it's like kind of a slasher horror flick, except the slasher is a lion, and I think it works pretty well for the film overall. I think it just probably would have been better if they didn't show the lion as much. Like, I would have liked to see more night shots of the lion stalking them at night and that kind of stuff. I think that would be pretty cool. And I don't know, keep it more ominous throughout the film, and then see the thing that you've been dealing with throughout the whole film. See it, you know, in all its glory pretty much by the end of the film for the final battle, which I think probably would have been a lot more cool, but it is what it is. And I didn't even tell you who the stars yet. This is an Idris Elba movie. He plays Dr. Nate Samuels. He's there with his daughters, Leah Jeffries playing Nora Samuels, and Yana Haley playing Meredith Samuels. And did I get that right? I think so. And then you also have Charlotte Copley playing Martin Battles, and that is like the best friend to Dr. Nate Samuels. Basically, he's like, "Hey, why don't you come on over to Africa and come kick it with me and bring your kids?" The wife in this situation, she passed away from cancer, so you kind of have a dad struggling to kind of rekindle a relationship with the daughters after kind of being absent about, or not about, but after the death of the mother. And this is quite the situation for them to kind of bond over. So it's a good film. It has some heart to it, and there are some emotional moments that didn't quite make me cry, but I was starting to get choked up when it came to things about the mother. And I think I'm not sure which one is which. Um, Let me see. I can't tell by the IMDb pictures because IMDb sucks. By the way, the whole cast for this on IMDb is all fucked up. Idris Elba isn't even the first person listed. But I think it's Nora. She's the older sister, and she has some really great scenes in here. The thing I'll say about this film is that the dialogue is not that great. A lot of the time, like the dialogue kind of like there's a scene with Martin Battles, Charlotte Copley's character, where he's like, we're in his domain now, or like we're in his territory or whatever. I'm just like, that seems like the typical kind of thing to say in one of these types of movies. So there's a lot of just like kind of obvious, bits of dialogue where you're just like, of course they would say something like that. And a lot of it comes from the kids. I don't blame the kid actors at all, the child actors. I think it's just the script that they were given. Some of the dialogue that they're given just kind of sounds like something a kid wouldn't say, and some of the things they do sounds like or seems like a thing a kid wouldn't do. So I don't know. And there's also some dumb decisions that certain characters make in this movie where I'm just like, we're literally just putting them in this situation for the sake of entertainment. It doesn't really hold any weight to it. It doesn't seem to happen for a specific reason. But I mean, that's kind of how it is. It's just an apex predator hunting down, his prey essentially. So yeah, let me get to some of my notes here. Charlotte Copley's character literally looks like an Australian Chuck Norris in this movie. I couldn't stop thinking about it the whole film, but he is a fun character for sure. Um, yeah, I already said so writing with the dialogue. A lot of it's mainly the dialogue in this movie that I have an issue with, and then some of it's just like seeing too much of the lion too soon. I think it should have been something that was kind of built up. You actually see the whole thing by the end of the film, see what they're dealing with. Like I said before, the action scenes loud and terrifying, definitely. I think the action scenes work very well in this film. Yeah, I mean, there's some things that certain characters survive where you're just like, how would you be alive right now? But, you know, gotta suspend your disbelief a little bit with some of these types of movies. But let me see here. This has nothing to do with the movie, but there was a dude in the row right in front of me who would not shut up the whole time. And yeah, shout out to that guy if you're watching. If you watched Beast at Celebration Cinema Lansing, at what time was it, like 7:15? Yeah, you're an asshole, you're talking too loud. But let me see here. The lion literally looks like Scar from Lion King. He has a scar on his face and everything. I was just like, that's kind of funny. Some pretty obvious foreshadowing in the beginning. There's something that happens at the very end that they kind of teased in the beginning. And at first, I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't think too hard about it. But looking back on it, I'm just like, that's really obvious foreshadowing. Just being like, hey, here's this one thing, hint, hint. This might come back into play later. And it did. But let me see here. Dream sequences. There's like these weird kind of dream sequences when Idris Elba's character is passed out, where he's like walking through an African village, and I understand it because like the mom has ties to that African village, but at the same time, I don't think it was really adding anything to the film, so it just felt completely unnecessary. It's not a very long movie; it's like an hour and 33 minutes, with credits, I believe. So I guess they just kind of had to put certain things in there to fill time. I don't know. I wouldn't say a lot of this movie, but a decent amount of this movie. There's certain things that happen that just kind of seem like they're there to fill time. So I don't know. They don't spend a whole lot of time just like setting things up, like setting the characters up and their whole backstory. You get enough knowledge to know like where these characters might be at in their life and how they're feeling and what their relationships with each other might be. But they, for the most part, get right into it. So that's something I appreciate for sure. I mean, they kind of have to with such a small runtime, but um, I understand why they showed the lion so soon, just because with that small runtime, you don't want it to feel slow. Um, and you feel like you only get like 10 minutes of action. But I don't know. I feel like there was a way they could have done it to kind of slowly build it up and make it more intriguing and more suspenseful rather than just seeing the whole thing. Because once you see it, you're like, this is obviously a CGI animal. I mean, it's nothing that really takes you out of the movie because the animals, like the CGI animals in this movie, I think look pretty good. But, you know, I mean, comment down below. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Like, when it comes to a lot of these like serial killer slasher movies, it's better to not see the villain so much until like later on in the film and just get it slowly built up, like Halloween, like Michael Myers, you know? Like Michael Myers is slowly built up through that first Halloween movie where it's like somebody is watching them, but you don't really see a whole lot of him until the end of the movie. And I feel like that's kind of how this movie should have been. Kind of like literally a serial killer slasher flick, but the slasher is a lion. And for the most part, that's kind of what they were going for, but it didn't quite work out for me. So, not my favorite movie I've ever watched. Not the worst movie I've seen all year. Not the worst or best movie I've seen all year. Um, Kind of in the middle. So I'm gonna give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. There are definitely some action scenes in here that were loud and just punch you right in the face. So I appreciate those. But for the most part, I mean, like, I will give a shout out to Leah Jeffries, who really, I think, even with the so-so dialogue in this film, really held her own in a lot of scenes. I think she was definitely fantastic in this movie. Idris Elba, I would have liked to see a little more emotion from him in certain scenes. There was one in particular where he was drunk and talking to Martin Battles, played by Charlotte Copley. There was a moment where he was talking to him about like his wife dying. Why didn't you come to her funeral? And just talking about his kids and stuff like that. So I feel like in that moment he should have had a little more emotion. He should have been tearing up and stuff like that, and kind of had a bit of a breakdown. But I mean, like I said multiple times, this is a very short movie, so they had to kind of compress things. So, yeah, overall, not a bad film. 6.5 out of 10. Have you seen Beast? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle? I'd like to know. Comment down below. Tell me what you thought of the film. If you have not seen it, did my review make you want to watch it or make you not want to watch it, or were you going to watch it or not watch it anyway? Let me know also. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And my next video should be 3,000 Years of Longing, also starring Idris Elba, which I am watching technically today as of recording this. So, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you in the next one.